Dear learners of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, welcome to this session on marketing performance, evaluation and control as a part of your course on marketing management. Marketing as a process actually needs to be completed through control. When you begin with planning the entire process, you also have to implement control techniques to see to it that what you planned is actually being executed or not. So you have marketing implementation or marketing performance. It is basically a process of turning a marketing strategy into action. When you have companies who make a lot of marketing strategies, be it in terms of how the product should be made, features in the product, designing, color, packaging of the product, all decisions related to product, or all decisions related to pricing. How should the company adopt pricing method, whether it should be based on consumer basis or competition basis, or the decisions which are related to various elements in promotion like advertising, sales promotion, personal selling, publicity, public relations, direct marketing, or the decisions which are related to place in terms of marketing channels and intermediaries, decisions related to the entire process of selling, where you talk about especially relevance of services industry, or the decisions related to engaging people in the process of delivering those services. In all these decisions, whether be it to do with product, price, place, promotion, process, people, or even the physical evidence in which you are rendering the service, for all of that you need a action plan as to how all these performances have to be delivered. So that is nothing but your marketing implementation and performance. So in marketing performance, we are talking about the process of turning or converting a marketing strategy into an action, where we are talking about defining tasks, assigning responsibilities, allocating resources, monitoring progress, so that you are able to achieve your marketing goals. So marketing organization basically will redefine the role of managing the customer interaction, so that you are integrating all the efforts of the company to serve the customer successfully. So here in marketing performance, you talk about how the marketing department is also organized and how is their role defined, so that the entire marketing strategy is implemented. In the marketing implementation process, firstly, we begin with determining the marketing strategy and communicating the measurable objectives department wise. So if you have objectives related to product, then you convey to the production department. Objectives related to promotion, then you convey to the sales department. Objectives related to distribution, then you convey to your distributors and your reseller, retailer, all your defined measurable objectives which are there. And all these defined measurable objectives will have to be determining the key managerial tasks. What are the various tasks which are to be performed by each of these departments under your marketing unit? So key tasks will have to be defined, and those key tasks will have to be assigned to certain people, so that those people are held accountable for the completion of the task which is there. Similarly, for completion of the task, you need authority and responsibility. So you need to delegate authority relationship in that particular department, state the policies and the guidelines and what is the role that each person has to play, and also clarify to the various individual managers who are there what kind of goals and results are you expecting from them. What kind of information system are you building, and in what way that particular information has to be used by those managers while implementing the entire marketing program which is there. And all this connection will again be back to the reward system, because when the managers are implementing the marketing process, what kind of a reward system are you putting in place so as to reinforce a desired behavior from the side of your employee. So we are not here basically talking from the side of the market, but we are talking from the side about within the company what happens related to your marketing performance or marketing implementation, where we are designing the departments, we are assigning the tasks, we are assigning authority, role, responsibility, stating clear-cut guidelines, communicating the reward system, giving managerial training to these people, setting up an information system so that the entire marketing process is implemented very successfully. Now, when you talk about marketing implementation, managers can adopt different approaches to implement their marketing strategy. In general, you have two approaches which can be adopted for implementing the managerial strategy. One can be an external marketing approach, one can be a quality control management. In external marketing, we talk about communicating the entire marketing program to the outside world who is outside the company, be it in terms of making the product and selling it to the consumer, or be it in terms of communicating the profitability metrics to the distributors and dealers who are involved in between. And then you talk about the quality control and the management system, where we say how the entire process right from production till selling is controlled through various quality parameters or benchmarking techniques we are adopted by the company. Then these marketing programs, the effective implementation of the marketing program will depend upon how are you motivating your marketing personnel. So from the process of producing the product to pricing it, promoting it and taking it to the market, who are all these marketing personnel who are involved in it? So you have to motivate them adequately. So implementation of marketing program can be successful when you have marketing personnel motivation which is being done. Similarly, the marketing department has to be communicated very well about what are the goals and the objectives, the mission and the vision of the entire program. Then you got to coordinate the program within the department and establish a time frame for every activity which is there. When the marketing program gets implemented, you have various control procedures also which can be there. See, unless and until when a person performs, and how will you know whether the performance is actually going according to the plan or not? Only when you apply certain performance standards. So in marketing implementation or marketing performance also, certain control procedures will be applied. Like, first of all, you have to set performance standard. If I am stating that my sales force should sell at least 1,000 pieces today, then that 1,000 pieces, the number itself is the performance standard that you are setting. If in my call center, if I have 100 as number of calls which a backend employee will have to take from the customer side to serve the customer, then that number becomes my performance standard there. So what kind of performance standards are you setting for your entire marketing control and implementation process? Similarly, once the standard is being set, how are you measuring your actual performance against the standard? That has to be done. So what kind of techniques or methods are you adopting in order to measure the actual performance? Once the standard and the actual are with you, then what is the gap that you have between the standard and the actual? So therefore, you would take a corrective or a timely action so as to reduce the gap between the standard and the actual performances of the marketing personnel who are engaged in your entire department. So therefore, you have setting performance standards, measuring actual performance, and taking corrective action in order to reduce the gap between the desired and the actual performances which are there. In the process of marketing performance, there are certain skills which are needed so that the marketing programs are implemented effectively. Thomas Bonoma has listed out 4 set of skills which are needed for implementing the marketing program. First is called as a diagnostic skill, where you are trying to diagnose and understand what kind of marketing issues or marketing problems are being faced by the company. So diagnostic skill, what is the marketing landscape, the context in which the marketing personnel will have to function. So you basically adopt your diagnostic skills when you are implementing your program. Similarly, you do identification of the company level. Where is the company standing in relation to the competition? Because that will determine the success of the marketing program as to how the customers will get attracted to the company. So you have identification of the company level. Similarly, you have implementation of skills which are related to implementing part, as to how that particular program has to be implemented and how are you measuring evaluation, that is a success of that particular program. So diagnostic skill, company level skills, identification and implementation skills and evaluation skill. Those are the 4 set of skills which are given by Thomas Bonoma as a part of implementing the marketing program which is there. Now, once the performance is delivered, where you are talking about setting up a strategic business unit and having a marketing plan, and then taking goals, objectives, mission and vision, and then your entire marketing program is rolled out. Once the program is rolled out, you need to now measure whether the program has been successful or not. So therefore, you talk about applying evaluation and control techniques which are there. In marketing literature, you have broadly 4 types of control and evaluation techniques which are applicable. The first technique is called annual plan control. The second is a profitability control. Third is called as efficiency control, and the last is strategic control. These 4 types of controls will help a marketing manager to determine to what extent the marketing program has been successful or not. So evaluation and control techniques, annual plan control, profitability control, efficiency and strategic control. Let us discuss all these control types one after the other. The first one is annual plan control. As the very word annual, we are talking about all those goals and objectives which the company has set per year. So we may talk about sales revenue which is generated, number of sales territories which are captured, a volume of sales that is being made, or anything which is to do with annually what kind of metrics are adopted by the company to measure the performance. Basically, the annual plan control is the responsibility of the top management and the middle level management, because lower level management is only concerned with implementation part. But when it comes to evaluation part, through annual plan control, the top management usually examines whether the planned results are achieved or not. How do they do this? What are the various techniques which are involved in the annual plan control? Let us see the techniques which are engaged in this. Annually, you can check firstly your sales. So you can do something called as a sales analysis, where you can have sales variance, or you can do a micro sales analysis. The company will take up the sales data, which can be either based monthly, quarterly, half yearly or yearly, and then they can start comparing whether there has been a growth or a decline in the sales, based on which they will measure their annual plans, whether they are going according to whatever was being planned or not. So sales analysis will help them in order to measure the performance related to sales. Similarly, you have market share analysis, which you can do on an annual basis, where market share will basically tell you about what is the overall market share that you enjoy in the market. For example, if the company is serving in an industry where the industry comprises of many firms, then what is your share in comparison to all the other firms who are offering the product or who are targeting the same target market? So overall market share will help you to understand the market share analysis. Similarly, you can do something called as a served market share. Instead of understanding an overall market share, I will take into consideration only those markets which I am serving, and then understand whether my share in those markets have grown or declined. For example, if I was serving geographically 2 markets, say India and Sri Lanka, then I will talk about whether my share in India and Sri Lanka annually has increased or decreased. So therefore, I am talking about only served markets which are there. I can also do a relative market share analysis, where relatively what is my share in comparison to the other competitors who are there in the market. If there are 3 companies A, B and C, then what is the position of A in relation to B and C in the overall market share which is available. So that way, annually I can get data related to market share and do an analysis to understand whether my marketing programs have been successful or not. Likewise, I can also do something called as marketing expenses to sales analysis, where the company may be incurring lot of expenses to do marketing, right from making the product to taking the product to the market, advertising, selling and distribution. All these expenses will be incurred. So you can do an analysis of expense to sales. What all were the marketing expenses that were being incurred, and whether those expenses helped in pushing the sale or not. So expense to sale ratio you can compute, and that will help you to do an annual plan control analysis related to expense to sales ratio. Similarly, you can also take up something called as financial analysis, where you will talk about what was the data which is related to investment in the company and how much revenue was generated through that particular investment. So assets and liabilities which are being created. We can also have a market-based scorecard analysis where the company can do customer performance scorecard, where you can do evaluation from the side of the customer, whether the customer are satisfied, there's an increase or decrease in the customers. So data related to the consumers and how they have viewed the performance of the company, that can be taken into consideration. So in your annual plan control, you can do a sales analysis, you can do market share analysis, expense to sales analysis, financial analysis, or a customer performance scorecard. These techniques can be adopted when you are doing an analysis related to the first technique, which is annual plan control. The second is profitability control, where we are talking about how the company is measuring profits related to the company. Profit, as we understand as students of commerce and management, we understand that profit is nothing but excess of income over expenditure. So therefore, here in profitability analysis, we will talk about identifying what is your profitability in terms of exceeding your revenue over your income, and also profitability in terms of reaching the market. So you will take into consideration your sales and cost of goods sold, and then have the various expenses such as salary, rent, supplies, electricity, insurance, etc., and then compute whatever is your net profit. So a simple profit and loss account will yield you data related to the profitability analysis, which can help you to understand whether the company is progressing effectively, implementation of marketing program is happening well or not. While you are preparing your profitability control, first of all, you need to identify what are your expenses. So what are my functional expenses, and you have to map your natural expenses into functional expenses. For example, if your expenses are salary and rent, then how much are salaries which are being paid for selling? What are the salaries that I am paying for advertising? How much of a salary I am paying for packaging and delivery? So like that, what I am doing now, for my total salary, I have divided that based on functionality. That is selling as a function, advertising as a function, packaging and delivery as a function. So based on these functionalities, salary component has got now allocated amongst various functions which are there. So that way I will do identification of the functional expenses. Then these functional expenses I will allot to the marketing entities within the company. I may be having a separate sales department. I may be having an in-house ad agency. I may be having a packaging and delivery department. So therefore, now I will start allocating the functional expenses to these marketing entities, which are departments and the channels which are there in the company. So that way I will do an analysis which is related to the profitability, where I am comparing the revenue and income and the expenses, revenue and the expenses which are generated by the company. And then I assess whether the company has been profitable in implementing the marketing program or not. Similarly, I can also do something called as a analysis related to various types of cost, where I can undertake a full costing technique, or I can undertake an activity-based costing technique, where I will either take into consideration all the costs which are incurred by the company, direct cost and indirect cost, or I will divide the cost based on the various activities in the company and then do an activity-based analysis. So that way, the first type of control was annual plan control, where we talk about annually how are you measuring your performance, whether your planned results are yielded or not. So sales analysis was a major component there. Then we did a profitability control method, where your profit and loss account will help you to understand excess of income over expenditure, where you allocate your expenses into functionality and marketing entities. Third type of a control that you have is your efficiency control, where you are trying to assess what type of efficiencies are there by various people or various entities in the entire function of marketing. For example, you can have a marketing controller in the organization, or the marketing manager, or you can have a sales force. Then you want to identify whether all these entities inside the marketing department or the unit are functioning efficiently or not. So you can have metrics which are related to understanding the efficiency of your sales force. For example, if my sales force comprises of 10 people and some of them are engaged in direct selling, some of them are engaged in back-end support services, some of them are engaged in delivery, then am I going to have different metrics in order to measure the performance of each one of these members in the sales force? So I am talking about efficiency of the sales force. Similarly, I would also talk about efficiency of the distribution channel, whether the distribution channel has been able to take the product to the consumer in time, by providing all types of utilities which are to be provided by the channel. Likewise, I can also assess efficiency related to advertising, whether my advertisements were having the impact to yield back the consumers towards the company. So what kind of efficiency, whether I was able to reach out to the consumer, whether I was able to create any kind of impact on the consumer. So I will try to assess the advertising efficiency there. Same way, I will also try to assess what kind of sales promotion efficiencies are there in case I am adopting any kind of sales promotion tools such as coupons or contest or buy one get one free or any other benefit that I am passing to the consumer. I want to check whether all these benefits which are being passed on have been efficient or not. So what kind of efficiency is related to the sales promotion is also being checked by the company in your efficiency control technique, which is also a part of your evaluation and control. Then you can go for last one, which is your strategic control, where in strategic control we talk about marketing effectiveness, we talk about marketing audit, and we talk about social and ethical review. In marketing effectiveness, the company is more concerned about how effectively the marketing function has been executed throughout the company. That is right from the top management till the person who is actually implementing the marketing program, whether the goals, mission, vision, objective has been conveyed effectively, whether the entire process was being streamlined or not, top to down, and whether the feedback has been taken down to bottom top approach also was being adopted or not. So marketing effectiveness review you will take into consideration. Likewise, you will also do something called as a marketing audit, where we talk about a method of evaluation through a very systematic and objective way to look at what were your objectives, what were your strategies, what was the organization doing, how was it performing. So it is like a check and a balance on your entire performance that you have done as a part of your marketing audit, where marketing audit basically will have to be very comprehensive because you are finally talking about what all did you did as a part of your marketing program. Then it also has to be very systematic in nature, and it has to be independent, where there should be no bias which should be there, and the person doing the audit should be neutral and free from all kinds of bias. And it also has to be very periodic in nature, where you are not undertaking the process throughout the year, but it should be periodic, where you are sticking for a particular period of time related to the marketing program which is there. So audit will be taken into consideration as a part of strategic control. Then in audit, you can have marketing audit which is related to demographics, economic or environment, like demographic developments, trends which were there in the market, opportunities which the company had got, or any kind of challenges the companies faced in the market. So you will do an analysis of the macro environment as a part of your marketing audit. Then environment audit related to the economic environment, major developments which happened in the income of the people, savings of the people, credit policy of the country, which will determine the disposable income of the people. How did people respond to all these developments and all? We'll talk about the economic audit, which is your macro environment. Similarly, environmental audit, where you will talk about what were the various resources which are available to the company, how did the company make use of all these resources, will be a part of your environmental audit which will come into picture. So in the process of audit, not only are you doing checks and balances related to the broader environment, but audit related to the internal practices of the company also. Various departments, various people, what were the tasks assigned to them, whether they did the task accordingly or not, those reviews also will be taken into consideration. The next thing that you have as a part of your strategic control is what are the best practices that the company can adopt as a part of marketing excellence review. How can companies excel in the process of marketing? Because it is all about creating awareness and selling the product, to yield a satisfied consumer. So therefore, how can you excel in this entire process? Companies can have a very poor marketing excellence, they can have a good excellence, or they can go for an excellent review in the market. That way you can have best practices which you can take into consideration. Lastly, you have under strategic control something called as ethical and social responsibility review. Because we talk about the companies as a unit in the society, making use of the resources from the society. So how should the companies be responsible towards the society? How should they be ethical in terms of what are they supposed to do, ought to do and not to do as such in the company? So therefore, ethical and social responsibility review. Today we talk about something called as ESG norms, environment, social and governance norms, where companies have to stick and be answerable for all their actions to the various stakeholders who are there in the who are there connected with the company. So in today's session, we have spoken about what is your marketing performance, how companies can measure the performance, what can be the various control techniques which can be applied. What basically happens is, because marketing is one of the functions of a company, it has to be streamlined in the entire strategy of the corporation. So when you have a corporate strategy and marketing as a business function, how is this business function facilitating attainment of your corporate strategy? So therefore, it is necessary that companies adopt and apply appropriate marketing implementation programs, whereby you have to decide about what are your strategic business units, how have you framed your mission and vision statements, what kind of goals and objectives are drafted for the various marketing entities inside the companies, how are you conveying to them the methods of implementing the marketing program, and also conveying what benefits or rewards will be entailed to these people who are actually in the process of implementation. And likewise, any plan cannot be set to be successful when you don't have appropriate control measures. So when you want to know whatever is planned is happening as per the plan or not, you have to apply your checks and balances in the form of control mechanism. So therefore, you have to first assess whatever is your benchmark, measure your actual performance, then compare actuals with the benchmarks to see if there are any deviations are there. If the deviations are negative, then you have to take up corrective action. So the control mechanism has to be applied to the marketing function, and evaluation has to be done in terms of what type of plans do you have annually. So you can do an annual plan control, you can have plan controls based on your profits. Controls can be related to efficiencies of various entities in the company, and controls can be related to the strategy itself, where you talk about marketing audit, marketing excellence, and ethical and social responsibility review. So all these put together will be a part of the marketing performance, evaluation and control mechanisms which are there, which actually sum up the entire function of marketing, which starts with analysis of environment and understanding consumer behavior, making a product, pricing product, promoting it, selling it, then actually coming to evaluating all these performances and applying control mechanism, so that you actually know whether what you planned was attained by you or not. So this is your marketing performance, evaluation and control. Thank you.